The internet is an ocean of negativity.
If I'm honest with you, I'm just having a bad day.
Wherever you look, from political debate to pop culture fandom,
I wasted everyone's money, I wasted everyone's everything, and I feel bad. You don't think I feel bad?
there can be found a crowd of loud voices crying doom and despair to all that will read or listen.
I actually collect spit.
Now, there are a few places where these kinds of messages are more concentrated than in those where sports fans meet, particularly when discussing the misfortunes of their favourite team. For me, that sport is basketball, and as a Briton, my people have a predilection, a gift if you will, for incessant moaning.
I have to put up with from you people. You punts in here expecting to be hand-waited on hand.
In this series, I aim to exercise that skill so that you don't have to. This is Courtside Rants. Giannis Antetokounmpo is beloved, or at least outside of Boston, by fans across the NBA and not just in the city of Milwaukee. This isn't too surprising considering he is unquestionably the most dominant player in today's NBA. A two-time regular season MVP, a one-time finals MVP, a one-time All-Star MVP, a one-time Defensive Player of the Year, a six-time All-Star, and five-time All-NBA First-Teamer, not to mention winning the NBA Championship in 2021. As fans in the mid-2000s were dazzled by the dominance of LeBron James, as 90s fans had been of Michael Jordan, and 80s fans of Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, Giannis's rise to the top has been electrifying, an undeniable spectacle.
Williams, stout defense, threw it to himself. Oh, he's eviscerating the
Yet,
Celtics.
unlike the aforementioned names, Giannis has a personal quality that lends itself to universal adoration, humility. Gone are the self-aggrandizing statements, replaced with,
First of all, I want to thank my teammates. It takes more than one person to win 16 games. Every time I walked to the locker room, I saw my teammates, they were ready to go to fight. They were ready to go to war with me. They laced up their shoes, they went out there and they gave 100%. I want to thank the coaching staff for teaching us, pushing us every day, every single day, believing in us.
he's the kind of basketball player you'd want to introduce to your mother. Heck, he's the kind of basketball player you'd feel safe leaving with your mother. Looking at you, Delonte. The thing is, to poach a phrase from another sports fandom, professional wrestling, Giannis is gradually edging his way, game by game, towards a momentous heel turn. But why? How could you stop loving the guy whom not only dominates the game, but does it with dignity, respect for his competition, and all that watch him? The answer is the bane of player and fan alike, the kryptonite of enjoyable basketball: bad officiating.
As West goes down, he might be hurt.
How about Joey, fresh off of knee surgery? That's a contest we need. You show that to your players. We want to get stops. You got to contest and have a sense of urgency. Way to get it done, Joey.
In relation to the competition itself, bad officiating affects the fairness of the game. Dirty, dangerous fouls being downgraded or not even called. Travelling is ignored. What you see as an obvious charge, they deem a blocking foul. And Giannis, a 6'11", 240-pound gladiator, is fouling, travelling and charging, nay, bulldozing his way to monster games. Now, I'm not decrying physicality in basketball. I watched throughout the naughty 90s and the terrifying 2000s, where a more relaxed rulebook allowed for a more heavy-handed approach. But that was then, and this is now. if any player not belonging to a select few, handpicked by the league to carry the torch of global representation, were to commit such offences, they would foul out of the game before you could say, It is here that we encounter the fork in the road. Down one path lies the integrity of the sport. Down the other lies entertainment, and that oft sought after byproduct of said entertainment, money. The league has, for a very long time, been driven by star power. The 1970s, a decade that saw drug scandals, plummeting viewership and the threat of bankruptcy, gave way to the 1980s, where the sport was redressed with a new image akin to that of Hollywood. Glitz, glam, and storytelling.
And frankly, I think that would be good for the league. What?
This was largely driven by the mass-marketed rivalry between two teams, the Los Angeles Lakers and the Boston Celtics. But every story needs a protagonist and an antagonist. Whichever side of the fence you were on, these two characters, or to use a term more relevant to the sport, these superstars, were Magic Johnson and Larry Bird. Fast forward 40 years and little has changed, save the length of the players' shorts and, as previously mentioned, the rulebook. The pomp and circumstance has only intensified. You only need to watch the pre-game presentation to see what I mean. The media portrayal of on-court events too feels more parody than perusal.
Throw a parade already, whether you win a championship or not. This man was a bona fide scrub.
Molly, this is the toughest decision I've ever had to make, and my grandmother spent 4 months on a ventilator.
Perfect example being how, as the Boston Celtics triumphantly overcame the Brooklyn Nets in a first-round series sweep, the media remained laser-focused on the Nets. But why? Because the Nets have Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, two true superstars in the eyes of the public and the media alike, however controversial either of them may be. Stars sell tickets. They bring in viewers. Their jerseys and shoes sell in their millions. The very image of a single superstar is worth more to the league than every other player on that superstar's team combined. So, naturally, the league wants to protect their investment. If a superstar isn't playing because they got into foul trouble, or worse, picked up a suspension for dangerous play or any conduct deemed unbecoming of a professional sportsman...
Yo, what's up, bro?
I just want to know, bro.
What do you want to know? What do you want to know?
Adidas? It's about to crack.
Then, will the people keep watching in their millions? Sure, the die-hard fans aren't going to go anywhere, but what of the casuals that are just there to see the superstar do superstar things? Ratings mean nothing to fans, but they are everything to a televised sport that is just as much an entertainment product. And to be entertaining, you need entertainers.
Kicks it back out. Tatum for three. Puts it in. Jason Tatum now at 37.
Which leads me back to Giannis. He's a fairy tale story, an immigrant son born to immigrant parents in a land that only made him feel welcome when he proved his prowess on the court. As a European, he was an outsider coming into an American league with everything to prove, which he just did, going from a lanky, shaven-headed bench player to the face of a franchise and, arguably, the face of the league. And don't confuse my words, he didn't just barge his way to this impressive list of accolades. For every no-call travel, there's an astoundingly lengthy Euro step. For every ignored charge, there is an unbelievable physical specimen jumping over defenders to throw down a thunderous jam. But the problem is that the longer those fractions are ignored, particularly those that risk injury to an opposing player, Giannis will not only come to rely on these methods to win games instead of adapting his style and growing as a player, but one day he will likely seriously injure someone in the process. Sooner or later, he will go from being the player you can't help but admire to the player you resent, the player you hate. Thus, the heel turn I mentioned before would be complete. I hated LeBron James when he went to Miami. Well, not immediately, but when he dashed the hopes of a second championship for the new Big Three Celtics in 2012, and then again in 2013 after having poached Ray Allen to make the kill shot of that year's finals. LeBron knew people would hate him. Heck, they lent into it hard. The reveal of the Heat super team was like something pulled straight from pro wrestling. Honestly, there are times where I feel like the two worlds are indistinguishable. And we've already seen the likes of Shaq and Satnam Singh enter the squared circle. So how long until Roman Reigns or Brock Lesnar take to the parquet to demolish an unsuspecting player on their way to the basket? If the NBA insists on telling stories, then let's not tell that story again. We've seen the much-loved babyface LeBron always overcoming adversity to pull his team to a finals appearance, turn heel, form a super team, and start collecting gold. With just a moderate amount of adherence to the rules which apply to all of the non-superstars, Giannis could avoid that heel turn. He could stay humble. He could adapt his game so as not to rely so heavily on charging into the paint or travelling so often that he should write for Lonely Planet. We know Giannis can still dominate the game and astound audiences without bending the rules. And if he does foul out, well, I bet that's a story that would generate a few clicks, don't you?